Hi, this is Chloe from the Injury Healing Code. So today we're going to be teaching you how to strap an ankle using brown rigid tape. So the equipment that I need, so I need my person that I'm taping. We need some sort of surface that they are on so that the leg can be hanging off the edge of the bed, so that the edge of the bed's at least where their calf is, their other leg bent up out of the way. So we need to make sure that this is safe and comfortable for them. It could be the edge of a chair, edge of a step, edge of a bed, edge of the couch. Like it's quite easy to find the right sort of surface, but it is important that we're off the ground here. Okay, what I need, so I need 38 millimeter, brown rigid tape. Okay, so it is important to know that this, so generally is a latex-based tape. So the sticky stuff on the inside of the tape has got latex in it. So we do need to make sure that your person that you were taping is not allergic to latex. You can buy specialized latex-free tapes, but a majority of the ones that you're just going to get ready-made at the store usually have latex in it. If you are new to taping and you're not used to ripping the tape, you may need scissors. Okay, so it's good to have a pair of these handy. Okay, before we get started, so there's a few little pointers that I want to be aware of. So a couple of little bony and tendon landmarks. So at the front of the ankle, so when we flex our foot, yeah, perfect, so hold that up. Okay, there's a group of muscles or tendons, okay, at the front of the ankle here. So if I strap and I cut across those tendons too low in this area of the ankle, I can dig into these tendons, so it can cause skin injury. So there could be blistering or bleeding there. So we want to make sure we avoid this area for the comfort of the person that you are taping. Another bony landmark that we want to be aware of is the head of the fifth metatarsal. So the fifth metatarsal is this long bone here on the side of the little toe, and the head of it is just this little bony bridge or edge just here. Okay, so we do not want to be taping and cutting off directly at this point here, because again, when this person's out there running, playing sport, that tape can friction away and dig into this point, and again can provide another point of skin irritation, bleeding or blistering. So we want to be careful of those two bony points. So we've cleared our latex allergy. Okay, next important thing to be mindful of is our foot positioning. So we want the knee to be straight. Okay, can you position yourself straight? Beautiful. So knee to be straight, foot to be flexed. So we want to be able to have a relatively flat foot here. So we call this about 90 degrees of ankle dorsiflexion. We also want to make sure that we are not rolling in or out through that foot, so we're not turning it in or out. Okay, so the reason being that if I tape this foot in too much turnout one way or the other, that's going to again cause risk of injury, because the person's going to run around on that in a not normal or not neutral foot position. Okay, so let's get going with our tape. Okay, so step one from here is to make sure that the skin is well prepared. So we make sure that the skin is clean, okay? There's no dirt, it's not wet or anything like that, so it's clean and it's dry. Okay, we get into our position, so foot flexed up. Yeah, good. Okay, and then we're going to step two, we're going to provide an anchor. So wrapping the tape, so I am not providing a lot of resistance on this at all, so I'm just laying down the tape, but wrapping around an anchor. And so this is roughly a good sort of 4 to 5 centimeters above the outer shin bone, so above the fibula. Okay, so keeping the foot flexed. Okay, next step is to do our stirrups. So with our stirrups, we always start on the inside of the ankle. Okay, so I am laying this down, okay, over the top of the anchor there, but always starting on the inside. Okay, so again, foot must remain flexed. Okay, laying it under the heel. Okay, and then just coming up the side. Okay, and finishing up on the outer aspect of the outer anchor. Okay, so foot staying flexed. Okay, so we do 2 of those. So again, starting on the inside. So I've just overlapped the tape, so I've come forward by around about 1 centimeter. And again, running under and finishing, okay, on the outer side. Okay, so I have been careful here that I have not dug into the edge of the head of the fifth metatarsal, so I've stayed about 1 centimetre clear of that. Okay, so next step is to do our figure sixes. So again, we always start at the inside of the ankle. So again, I am just laying this over those stirrups that we've already completed. So again, just laying down over the inside, wrapping around, good. Okay, but this time as I come up, okay, I want to pull the tape inward so that the tape is going to finish at the front of that anchor point. So we're sort of coming up and around and stopping somewhere in the middle here between our two stirrups. Okay, so again, I have not gone so low that I have cut over the front of these tendons here. Okay, so we will do 2 of these. So again, another figure 6. So again, roughly around about that centimetre of overlapping. Okay, and again, coming up and around. Okay, and again, finishing somewhere in the middle region of that anchor. Okay, from here, going into our heel lock, okay, or our figure 8. So we usually do 1 of these in each direction. So this time we are actually going to be starting at that midfoot, or middle, sorry, starting at the middle of your anchor. Okay, and contrary to the other one, the other straps that we've placed on, we're now actually starting from the center and we're going outward. So as I go outward, this strap is a lot higher. So I am aiming for the Achilles at the back. Okay, I'm not putting pressure on this. So I'm just laying down that tape and then wrapping around. So I've come here around the Achilles, okay, and then I'm wrapping around the side of the heel bone to then come under, okay, and finish virtually back where I started. Okay, and then I complete 1 of these on the other side, okay, in the other direction. So again, toes have to stay flexed. Okay, so this time again, starting at the center, okay, traveling around the back toward the Achilles, okay, and then you can see as I come and wrap around, so from the back of the Achilles, I now wrap around the heel bone, and then again, finishing, okay, at the center, so back where I've started. Okay, all right, so person can relax their foot a little bit, good, and I'm just going to finish off with another anchor. So all this one is doing, so it's just more or less repeating the first step, and it's just to close off any loose tape.